Okay, now let's have a look at the individual descriptors to try and establish, what the learner can do within band B. So let's start from the top. Can form and reproduce most English letters and familiar clusters of letters in frequently encountered words without support. Very important. But as we can see, obviously that's the case. I don't think we need to be looking again for this at the text to understand that yes, absolutely the learner can do that. So let's highlight this. Number 2. Can use basic punctuation accurately for various purposes. For example, commas to separate ideas, capitals to start a sentence, full stops to conclude sentences. Well, let's have a look if we've got full stops and commas. And the answer to that question is yes, we do. We've got one here, one here, one here, and we've got also some commas in here as well. So it is looking like, based on this one sample, that the punctuation is used. Certainly on the basis of the sample, it is looking rather good. So we are going to mark this as fulfilled. Okay, we're going to now move to descriptor 3. Can use everyday vocabulary and phrases and start to experiment with common classroom expression and terms like I set up the experiment, we found the answer. These are the sentences of which I was talking about before: subject, verb and object. So we can see that sentences such as I set up the experiment, if we look at the actual sample, are kind of reflected. It's the same structure. I wore my uniform, I paid money, I got off the bus, I went to the shop, and so on. So actually we have a lot of evidence that this kind of structure is there. There's a lot of vocabulary around personal experiences, the daily routines kind of language. So I would suggest that is likely to be able to do this. Of course, with the if you had this learner in your actual classroom, you would have more information to go on. Okay, next, can follow and reproduce examples of text format and layout for subjects across the curriculum. Well, we simply don't know from this. If we look again, we do have the title on top, but that might be a little bit too little to justify marking this descriptor as fulfilled. So I think we simply do not know whether the learner is fulfilling this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark this in blue to suggest that we simply do not know. Okay. Okay. Descriptor 5 can show some awareness of the differences between formal and informal language, but your writing still has features of everyday spoken language. Let's have a look at the this is a very, very basic text, and it is quite informal, of course, because it's about a personal experience. So there's no reason here to use formal language. Therefore, again, we don't quite know whether this is the case. And so I would use the blue color again on this. The language is not quite spoken in the sense that the descriptor is suggesting here. There's no command, or any such language, but there is also no formal one, and because there's no reason for it, I would suggest that we leave this descriptor for now. Okay. The next one, however, is quite interesting because it says can show awareness of the range of meanings of tenses, but may tend to use the same tense for different situations. Now, so for example, simple present tense for both present and past events. Now, this text is only about past situations. So yes, the same tense is used. However, what I would suggest is that whilst we wouldn't expect the learner here to start using present tenses, for example, or future tenses, because they are talking about what they did this morning. However, you could imagine here, rather than saying today morning I brushed my teeth, was I was brushing my teeth. So we could have past continuous, past progressive tense being used here, but we do not. There are no attempts to try anything else. So what I would suggest is that we could mark this as this is not done quite yet, because there's simply no attempts at all of trying anything else. So the awareness doesn't seem to be there. There's not even a single case where the learner would have tried to use that. So what I'm going to do is mark this in red, and this might just be the target. This is not something that is fully done quite yet. Now, can construct sentences independently, but might seek help or require modeling. Now, this is very, very likely to be the case. It's clearly true, if you look at the sentences, that they were crafted by the learner, and on the assumption that this sample has been done without any support from the teacher, then yes, you can do this. But obviously would need support and modeling at this stage. So we are going to mark this as complete. So we've got 3 more in this band. Is starting to combine sentences to produce paragraphs in relation to the past experience or immediate environment. Now obviously the text is about past experience and immediate environment. We can say that that's definitely true. Is the learner starting to combine sentences to produce paragraphs? The answer to that question is no. There's no paragraph here. So while there are some attempts here to actually do combined sentences. After I got off the bus, I went to the shop, so that is definitely true, but the learner is not trying to create paragraphs, which means that this descriptor is partially done, but not fully, which means, again, it could be our area to develop. So I'm going to mark this again in red to suggest that this can be potentially a language target. We've got 2 left to look at. Can write simple, on-task and cohesive paragraphs? Again, no, because well, there's no paragraphs. So after some rehearsals with class or peers, there's no attempt based on this sample. I repeat, there might be other cases where that's possible. We just simply do not know based on this sample. And so I'm going to also put this in red. And finally, we've got 10, can begin to write meaningful sentences and paragraphs which reflect taught content in subjects across the curriculum. Now, based on this sample, this is not something that we can actually say, because, well, certainly the sentences are meaningful, but there's no paragraphs, but largely this is just from one subject, and it is not on the topic of the curriculum. It's a personal experience, but we just simply do not know. And please note that it says subjects, plural, across the curriculum, and we simply do not know based on what we have here. So what I'm going to do, just like we did before, we do not have knowledge about this, so I'm going to mark this as unknown. Okay, so if we go back up, we see that there's a few at the beginning of Band B. Some of them we simply cannot tell, and then fewer and fewer are done as we get closer to the end of Band B. So what that suggests is that quite likely it is the case that the learner is operating on securely on low Band B, but that higher Band B is not quite there yet. If you look at the beginning of Band C and you start and you see what kind of things are expected here at low Band C, you can sort of reassure yourself that the learner is definitely not on Band C. Can use cohesive devices to link within and between paragraphs, but however there is some but it's only one case, and it's not enough. We would expect more here because it's meant to be more sophisticated writing. And if we go back to our text, after I got off the bus, I went to the shop, and after I arrived, please note that this is the same word used twice, the same one, after and after, which suggests that there's not a lot of vocabulary that the learner has at his disposal, and therefore it is not sophisticated writing at all. Can use a variety of tenses? Well, definitely not. We know that there's only past simple tense used there. And if we look at 3, connect simple sentences into an on-text passage and incorporate information from different sources. That obviously wouldn't apply to this. And so, but if we look at the first 3, the learner is not doing them at all yet. So that means that now we are in the position to look at potential language targets for them. So of course, the areas that the learner can do are in this sort of yellowy orange color. These we don't know. So now we've got 3 that we've marked in red, which are potential areas for development. So show awareness of a range meanings of tenses, but may use the same tense. And then 8 and 9 are in fact about producing paragraphs, cohesive paragraphs in 9, and combining sentences to produce paragraphs. So what we might do is to pick 2 rather than 3. 2 is more achievable than 3, and work on those. So, can show awareness of the range meaning of tenses, but may use the same tense for different situations. So we could work on this, and then secondly, produce paragraphs in relation to their past experience. Now, although descriptor 9 is actually also about paragraphs, and also about familiar topics, however, it does say cohesive paragraph, which suggests a higher level of the ability of using paragraphs. At the moment, the learner is not actually using any paragraphs whatsoever. So what I would suggest that our targets are going to be, and let me just draw and circle these, B6 and B8.